Okay, in this live stream, we're going to talk about the release of EOS 332, which came out October 6th, 2025. It seems that just yesterday we had 330 come out, and we've actually had 331 and 333 come out. 331 and 333 are mostly fixes, some stability, and some minor improvements. 332's got something interesting that I think is interesting and useful for a lot of people, and that's this uh, note here about GoTo Timecode syntaxes being added. And we'll review those here on this quick little live stream. But what we've got here, you can see that beyond that, there's a bunch of updates here. I just scroll past it. Yeah, so here are the fixed issues. There's a good number of them. I love the development they're putting into this. However, let's just jump into it and walk through how that works. This is a clean empty show file in build 333, but these were introduced in 332. So what we're going to do here is we're going to introduce just a couple of things here real quick, just so we've got something to work with. I'm going to build channel 1 through 10 at an address of 1/1. Well, we've just got something that we can work with and see. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to build a couple of queues here. So I'm going to say 1 at 1. 1 at full, record that into Q1. And then I'm going to take 2 at full and record that into 2. And I'm going to take 3 at full and record that into 3. And I'm going to set 4 at full and record that into 4. And so now when we look here at the live table, we'll go into blind first here. We could see in the blind spreadsheet just that simple progression here. Nothing really exciting going on. We're just slowly building on that. And if we're back into live here, we can see as each queue brings those into view here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my PST and I'm just going to rearrange this a little bit so that we've got time code all the way at the front so we can see that. And then I'll go to tab 11 and on tab 11 here, I'm going to create event list 1. An event list 1 source is going to be SMPTE, and we're going to choose both internal and external. We actually don't have an external time source for right now, but we'll have that here. So we've got some time code that can roll. And I'll set external on as well, because if you just have internal, as soon as I hit internal, the time's going to start counting. So I'll have them both on. And in fact, I'll set the time to 0. So we're starting off from a clean slate, so to speak. And so now we've set that up, and I'm just going to label this time code, change, sorry, caps there, time code. And now we're good to go. And so let's set this screen up just a little bit. I'm going to open this up. We'll split this. Let's go this way. And then we'll put our PST over here on the side. And so there we go. So we've got 1, and let's actually close this, and we'll just move this over so we can see this side by side. So I like that there. I'm going to go all the way back to queue out. And what we'll do is we'll go open up timecode over here. And on event 1, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do more soft keys, and I'm going to say learn event. So now we're learning timecode. And then I'm going to turn off external, which is going to start rolling timecode here. And then I'll go into live. And then as I hit go, it will record those timecode events. And of course, you're not seeing those in there yet, but you'll see how those come out here in just a moment. Let this one go for a good long time here. And then we'll go back into show control, and we'll stop learning those events. And I'll also stop the timecode by turning on internal. And then now we'll go back into live. And when I go Q1/, we need to add that so we can see the time codes. I'm going to click more soft keys, time code, and 1. So now those time codes actually show up here. And based on the way I rolled the clock, you can see everything starts about a minute in. So I'm just going to go manipulate these just a little bit so that they're a little easier to work with, or perhaps time that we are maybe more practical for us. So there we are, 10 seconds, and then 19 seconds, and then a minute in. And then actually, I'm going to go down to Q4, and we're going to remove timecode altogether. And what we're going to do in Q3 is, let's see if I can remember the Nomad ZDs. We're going to change the follow time to, let's do a follow time of 10. Then let's just make sure that that's really visible to us. So we're going to, there we go. So we've got time code, duration, and follow hang right there. And then we'll go back into show control, and I'm going to go event 1 / we're going to set the time to 0. And then we're going to turn off external, and we're going to see how time code actually fires off things here. So when we get to 10 seconds in, that fires. And then 19 seconds will fire. And then we won't even wait to get that far into it. So let me turn that off. And so we're going to leave this paused here. And you can see that we've paused the time at 26 seconds and 17 frames, which is why we're in Q2. And then if I hit Shift spacebar to bring us back, we're now in Q1. And so the new thing that that was added was this GoTo Tiimecode. And so here we know go to here. Let's bring this up this way so that it's easier for everybody to see. Virtual keyboard here. And so we can see it here. And so go to Q. And if I hit go to Q, what we're used to is if I say go to Q2, it's going to go to Q in the go to Q timings, which is in settings. And so to make that more obvious, right now the go to Q time is 5 seconds. So I'm going to set Q2 to a time of 2. And just so we stand out. So when I go into Q2, you see it goes in 2 seconds. However, if I use the go to Q command and I say Q2, it still takes 5 seconds because that's the go to Q time. We'll go back to Q1, go to Q, and what you'll see down here in the soft keys now is I've got timecode, and that's been added in 3.3.2. If you're on older versions, that just doesn't exist. But now when I say go to Q timecode, it does the standard go to Q command as if I typed go to Q2. And it chooses the Q that is closest to the current time code that has already passed. So since it's past the 19 seconds and 11 frames, the next Q is until further on, it's going to take Q2, but it takes that in the go to Q timing. And so the other thing to know is if we rolled that time forward, so if I come here and I set event 2, and we're going to manually set the time to 00012500. And we'll go back into live. Now we can see that that time is after Q3. So now if we go into the virtual keypad and I say go to Q timecode, enter, it's going to go into Q3 in 5 seconds. But also, due to the way go to Q works, it's not going to follow. So the follow is not going to occur as well. And so there are 2 additional modifiers that aren't in the documentation. Everything we've gone over so far is what is documented. But what's great about the US syntax and the command line is that it's a language. And so, for example, what I can say is I can say go to Q, timecode, and then if I post time on the command line, now it will go in that Q's time. So when I do this, it will go in the 5 seconds, but it also respects the follow hang and follows the follow hang as well. And so now this will properly bring us into Q4. Additionally, if we go back and now we reset the time to 20 seconds and go back into live and we redo that same command. Let's clear a few things off. And so now I say go to Q, timecode, time, because this should take us into Q2 because the timecode is currently at 20 seconds. When I hit that, it's going to go in the Q time of 2, which is what we're expecting. One last example here, we're going to set now the time to 01:25:00 again. So after Q3, back into live virtual keyboard, go to Q, timecode, and then down here we also have complete. So I can put complete on there and it will do the complete as we expect. Of course, it's also fired Q3, but it's gone literally in a blink of an eye. It has completed 3 and it's gone directly into 4 based off of the follow. So 3 was completed immediately. Now, based off of it, the question that often is going to be asked is, okay, so what point is this necessary? Where would I see this used? Here's a couple places I use this and I keep this handy. So the first is what I'll use is I will use this as a timecode is 99% accurate and higher than that, but occasionally timecode frames have been skipped. I see it about once a year. It's not a lot. I do a lot of timecode events. And so what I do is I have a macro that basically says, go to Q, timecode, time, enter. And that's just I call it TC catch-up, which is going to jump to the queue that timecode should have taken. For whatever reason, it didn't. It's a way of firing that off. Other situations that this can roll into is when programming. If you look at some other videos I've done about programming to timecode, and you're jumping around. So now I'm jumping back or forward while reprogramming a sequence. And so I maybe jump back 10 seconds on the audio track, which jumps us back 10 seconds in timecode. Well, if that jumps us back prior to Q3, and so I should have the look of Q2 up, I've only jumped back 10 seconds. So in this case, 1 minute, 15 seconds, which is before Q3. But because timecode never goes all the way back before 1911, it doesn't hit that trigger to go into Q2. And so in my new macros that I use for navigating playback of audio, which can be through QLab, I use Q points. You could also use Reason. But in any of those programs that you're using to play back audio, on my macros that jump back in time, not only does it jump back in time for the playhead of the audio, but it also now takes go to Q time, or go to Q timecode time, so that it puts the console into the correct queue it should be in for that playback state. So those are the 2 places where I'm using go to Q time, and it's been super, super helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We have a series of videos about timecode as well, so I'll link those as well. And yeah, have a great day. This is a fantastic update. Really appreciate the software engineers over at ETC.